Howdy, guys, and welcome to the overnight feed recaps for night number 23 of Big Brother season 24. And welcome to Cliff Notes. What an incredible evening watching the live episode last night and then following it into the overnight feed recaps themselves. A lot of conversations that took place, so let's just go ahead and get going real quick so we can get it all covered. Now, first of all, the TV episode itself is brilliant. One of my favorite episodes. We got to see the formation of the Leftovers Alliance. We got to see the shock and confusion as Amira went onto the block. We got to see Turner's speech as part of the renom ceremony. We got to see the live eviction episode. Amira was shocked, but I got to say the biggest look of shock was probably on Nicole and Alyssa's face. But obviously that entire side, pretty much a true blind side. So we got to see all that. And then we got to see the very beginning of the HOH competition. 1,500 envelopes, 8 of which contained red invitations that allowed 8 of the 13 house guests, or 12, I guess, because Turner can't compete, to try to get one of those 8 red letters to advance to the next stage of the HOH, which we didn't get to see, which I haven't heard really any discussion. Some kind of you get points for something, but beyond that, we don't have a clue what that actually was. But we do know who the winner is. And I'll tell you in just a second. Before that, we also found out that once Amira was evicted, Terrence left all by his lonesome. Turns out that he gets to pick any other duo to join so that one of the duos will become a trio instead, trio festy besties. So Terrence, not much time to make that decision. Tough to quickly make a strategic decision. Pick any other duo to join. Well, Terrence ends up picking Monty and Joseph as his duo. I was a little bit worried when he first made that decision, just for his sake, because it seems like if any of the people on the other side of the house, the Girls Alliance, for example, if one of them was to win HOH, they could put up Monty and Joseph and Terrence. And I know that the new Leftovers Alliance, I would assume, would vote out Terrence before they would vote out either of their 2 alliance members. So a little bit worried for Terrence from that standpoint. I personally was thinking that maybe if he had joined Indy and Alyssa instead, I think he would have been safer from eviction, at least, because then if they got put up on the block, that's 2 of the Girls Alliance that are on there. And I think the Leftovers would have plenty of votes and be wanting to vote one of them out instead. So that was my thought, but it was quick decision to be made. That if he had done that, he probably could have used the excuse, if nothing else, of he picked Indy and Alyssa just so he didn't have to go on slop this week since they're coming off have-nots and all that. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at the end of the day, and we'll talk about that. So as the episode cut away, we saw the beginning of the HOH competition. Eventually, the feeds came back, I don't know, about 8:45 or so, Big Brother time, I think. And we discovered that the HOH winner is Monty. Yeah, so actually Terrence made the right decision, because now not only is Monty safe, Joseph is safe as his original bestie festy, or festy bestie, however it is. And now Terrence, because he turned a duo into a trio, Terrence is safe as well. So good job, Terrence. He made the right pick on that. So we've got Monty as the HOH. See what that does to the rest of the evening, right? All right, we've got a plan from the Leftovers. This was actually developed before the eviction, but it's being carried out afterwards. Basically, Leftovers have a plan in place to blame all the vote switching as a last-minute discovery of the POPAC alliance that exists. And once they found out the alliance existed and thinking loyalties weren't where they thought they were, it caused a lot of people to shift votes. So that's the game plan going forward. Now, remember, the Alliance, Paloma's alliance, consists of Alyssa, Amira, used to be Amira, Alyssa, Nicole, Monty, Kyle, and Michael. And they're going to try to create all kinds of confusion as people that aren't part of that alliance suddenly start saying, hey, we heard about it, they'd be nervous and all that. So some of those stories, we've got Joseph telling Indy about it. Indy's not part of the Poe Alliance, and neither is Joseph. So we say, I found out about last minute. I suddenly realized that Amira had all these alliances. I didn't know about Indy. You and I weren't even in it. So, she had to go. Kyle is saying that Brittany knew about POPAC, and that he's thinking it was probably one of the girls that spilled the beans to some of the guys, how word got out on it. And Kyle is saying, look, it was a last minute choice to flip since I knew that this alliance was exposed. And he's saying, yeah, I was a part of it, but now that it's blown up, I knew it wasn't going to last. And I had to do what I could to cover myself, and so I voted out Amira. Brittany, I've heard different things. Apparently, Brittany told Nicole either right before or right after the vote about the Poe Alliance going on, and she used that as the excuse to flip. It sounds like maybe she told Nicole right before the live show about the alliance and that she was going to switch her vote. I'm not real sure about that, but it sounds like that could be the case. Now, Nicole is upset. Nicole spent a lot of time last night being very upset. She's saying, look, it's a game, whatever. I just want to know what's going on. All you have to do is give me a heads up, and I could have changed my plans and everything else. So she's upset that she didn't get the heads up. Remember, Nicole likes to have all the information in hand, and she's realizing that she doesn't have it. So she's upset about that. Well, here's the thing. No one owes you a heads up at any point in the game of Big Brother, but she spends most of the night complaining about that. She's upset that based on a lie, she was forced to tell Terrence that he was going home. Well, she wanted to be the one to tell Terrence about that, and that she didn't get a chance to properly say goodbye to Amir as a result. Well, here's the good news, Nicole. Probably for the next couple of weeks, you're going to get a chance to say hello to Amira, I'm thinking. So she may get her chance sooner than she thinks. She's blaming most of this week on Taylor, saying that Taylor organized all of this, put it all together. And now she's upset that she picked Taylor because she says, now I'm in trouble because I picked Taylor, which means if I'm safe, Taylor's safe. If Taylor goes on the block, it means I'm on the block. She's realizing that she's in a bad situation having Taylor as her festy bestie at this point in time. Eventually, she also points out the fact that not only is she upset with a lot of people, she's very upset with Brittany. And I don't know if it's because Brittany was the first to tell her that she'd flipped, or she thinks Brittany is one of the girls, should have been more loyal to the cause. But she's had enough of Brittany at this point in time. Meanwhile, as upset as Nicole is, Alyssa's not real happy either. Alyssa is furious that Kyle didn't give her a heads up before the vote took place. Eventually, they talk in the car room, and Kyle blames it on the fact he didn't tell Alyssa, on the fact that Alyssa was just too close to Amira and Jasmine. And he says several times, look, y'all all basically were saying that y'all weren't ever going to vote out the other two people in y'all's little group of three. So it made me feel very much like I was person number 4 in that group. And so, it's just game, Alyssa. It's nothing personal, but because y'all were so tight, I just couldn't tell you about voting out Amira, and it happened just last minute and all of that. Eventually, he ends up kind of backing off and apologizing, saying, look, I should have told you. Yes, I trust you. You should trust me. Yes, I should have told you. I'm sorry I did. And I was just worried about it. And it was so last minute. He doesn't mean it. He doesn't mean it at all, but he's doing what he can to fix the relationship with Alyssa. Meanwhile, we've got Brittany talking to Jasmine. She's playing her role as well. She's telling Jasmine, saying, I trusted Michael so much. I thought he and I were tight and everything. And then I find out that he's in this Poe-Pack alliance. I thought I could trust him, and now I can't. So again, she's trying to make it look like she and Michael are at odds with each other, and no, there's no kind of alliance or connection between us. He was in this alliance, and again, Brittany's saying because of that's why she had to vote Amir out, since Amir was in that Poe-Pack alliance as well. All right, we've got Alyssa talking to Indy, and she's worried that Monty may put them up this week as nominations, and she has good cause. They certainly are one of the candidates. But Nicole is talking about, she says that she's hoping they put up Turner and Jasmine, since they should have the votes to then get Turner out the door. She still thinks that the Poe-Pack alliance is a thing, and that she can count on everyone within that group to vote out Turner and protect Jasmine. It's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. Nicole may find out later, maybe not. Have-nots. Indy and Alyssa were have-nots this week. Indy did not like being a have-not. There's someone else in this house who really does not want to be a have-not, and she goes by the name of Jasmine. Yeah, they find out the existing have-nots have to pick new have-nots, and no one is volunteering. The most quiet the Big Brother house probably has ever been since the house guests came in there. You could hear a pin drop. Now, at first, they're talking about they want to try to get people who haven't been have-nots before, but they're very limited. At first, they picked Brittany and Michael to go on the block to be have-nots. But then someone points out, I think it may have been Brittany, points out that, hey, Michael's birthday is on Monday. You're going to make him be a have-not on his birthday. And at that point, they back off and eventually switch to Jasmine and Turner. Could this evening get any better? Yeah, it's time for Jasmine and Turner to be have-nots. Turner says, yeah, whatever. He said, I don't really want to have to deal with cold showers, but the rest of it, yeah, I'm okay with it. Jasmine does okay. She doesn't just outright, yeah, she said, okay, whatever. She quickly leaves the living room, though, goes into that golf bedroom to start packing, and she is very upset. Jasmine did not want to be have-not at all. She's not happy at all. Now, just as an FYI, Nicole and Taylor haven't been have-nots either, and certainly could have been picked instead, but Indy and Alyssa didn't go that direction at all. Doesn't matter. Nicole is mad that Jasmine was picked, talking about how unfair that was. Well, Nicole could have volunteered, but again, it was pretty quiet in that room before the selection was made. All right, Jasmine, as I said, she's trying not to show up, but she's super upset, immediately leaves the pack. Jasmine tells, I think it was Alyssa, that she has absolutely no desire to sleep in that room with Turner. That is the last thing that she wants to be doing. Indy is in there. Indy's blaming Taylor for everything, saying, yeah, she was behind all of this. And Indy's saying, I want her on the block next week. I want Taylor gone. So, yeah, they're still identifying Taylor as their target. A lot of these ladies are. All right, Nicole is telling the girls that Taylor's going to be here next week because she does what she's told. Now, why earlier wasn't Nicole blaming all of this on Taylor, organizing this and putting it all together? Now she's saying Taylor's just willing to be led, whatever, to do what she's told. That's why she's still here. Sometimes you got to do a little both of those to survive in the Big Brother house. All right, we got Jasmine, Daniel, and Alyssa talking. Jasmine saying it's time to investigate what's going on. That so far in this game, she's been the fun Jasmine is what she's been doing, but that time is done. I thought she was kind of being more the injured, complaining Queen Jasmine, more so than fun Jasmine. But different viewpoints, right? But she says that time's done. We're investigating. It's time for business. We've got Daniel and Terrence talking. Daniel is saying that no one's upset that Terrence is still here. Man, there may be a few people upset that he's here instead of Amira, but he's saying, look, no one's upset that you're here, Terrence. It's just not knowing that's got us upset. The fact it was a blind side that we didn't get heads up. That's what's got us a little bit irritated. Terrence is saying, look, just so you know, Monty told me to pick him when they told me to join a duo. He said, that's why I did it. And Daniel's saying, man, I get it. That's fine. Daniel also is telling Terrence, says, look, I want to be in the know if at all possible. Please keep me in the loop as you go forward. We got to work together. Just keep me in the loop. And Terrence is saying, yeah, absolutely. No worries. All right, we got Joseph and Taylor talking. Joseph's trying to say that telling Taylor that saying the girls are still gunning for you. Don't think that part's gone away. They are still gunning for you. Taylor is worried, but he says, look, if you're up next to Nicole this week, you're good. Don't worry about that. Yeah, they're gunning for you, but we got the numbers. If you go up on the block, Nicole's going home, you're safe. Taylor's still worried about that. She's going to talk about that a little bit later. Joseph is saying that that the beauty of putting up Taylor and Nicole is that if they do that, the others, the girls and such, they won't know that Taylor is working with them. It'll make it a little less obvious that this leftovers exist as is. So he's trying to sell her on it, but he's also saying, we want to make sure you're good with it. It's just an idea. And Taylor right now is not so good with it. All right, we've got Monty and Brittany and Michael and Kyle talking. Brittany's saying, she's suggesting that it's time for Taylor to take one for the team in order to boot Nicole. She wants Nicole gone. She's saying, yeah, we saved Taylor last week. Now it's time for Taylor to kind of return the favor, go on the block with Nicole. We'll protect her, but she needs to do that so we can get rid of Nicole. But Kyle is thinking that Indy and Alyssa may be the easiest and the better option. And Monty's saying, look, however we decide to do it, Taylor has to be okay with it. I'm not going to do it if Taylor's not okay. She's going to be part of the decision, and we have to check with her on it. So no decision just yet. We've got Nicole talking to Joseph, telling Joseph that she's safe. See, she's saying, let Taylor try and work her magic. I'm safe. I'll be okay. Well, she said earlier how worried she was. So she's trying to put up a brave face, but I think she knows that she's a little more danger than she's letting on. Nicole does mention at one point in time that their aunts in the golf room, they're in Jasmine's bed and everything else. That's why during my season, we did not eat food in the bedrooms, because those ants will show up sooner or later. They didn't show up till later during our season. But apparently the ants have invaded the Big Brother house in, was this week 3? So yeah, it didn't take that long. All right, we've got Indy and Daniel talking, and Indy is saying that trying to figure out who she thinks may be working together on the other side. She names all the leftovers. So as much as they're trying to keep everything covered up, Indy at least has thrown out the names as suspicions. I don't know that they've absolutely decided that those people are all working together, but at least the names have been thrown out there. We'll see how long the secret sticks around. All right, Joseph talking to Indy. He told Indy that he wants Monty to put up Taylor and Nicole, put them on the block. Indy is saying that she wants Brittany out, but she agrees that Taylor is also is a bigger threat. She's okay if Taylor and Nicole goes up, but if she had her choice, she'd have Brittany on the block and sending her out the door instead. All right, we got Alyssa talking to the guys in the have not room. She's worried. She says Jasmine won't even talk to her, and she wonders if it has something to do with what Amira said to whisper to Jasmine on the way out the door after the eviction. Now we find out later what was said, and it really didn't have anything to do with Alyssa. I think it may be more that Jasmine is at least suspicious that Alyssa might have been the one who spilled the beans on the Popak alliance to the guys. So that may be why Jasmine's a little standoffish as far as talking to Alyssa, but she's worried about that. Now, as far as that whisper, we do find out later Jasmine tells Monty that what Amira whispered to her is to not trust Daniel and to not trust Nicole going forward. Now, remember, when Amira got evicted, she went out and talked to Julie, and her first thoughts about who betrayed her were Daniel and Nicole. So she thought they were the ones behind it. So she has whispered this now to Jasmine, not realizing it actually were all the people in the leftovers that were the ones behind it. But that's going to create a little conflict going forward as well. We've got a lot of people that are outside the leftovers that are suddenly starting to turn on each other. All right. Meanwhile, we've got Nicole talking to Indy, telling Indy that she trusts Daniel, she trusts Terrence, and she trusts Jasmine. Indy is saying that she trusts Alyssa and Jasmine and Joseph. Now, later, Nicole tells Daniel, says, I know Indy was lying because she mentioned Alyssa, Jasmine, and Joseph, but she didn't say Monty. And I know she trusts Monty, so obviously she was lying to me. The conversation between these two just doesn't seem to go so well, because afterwards, Indy's upset about it. Nicole's upset about it. I don't know. I think it's funny that neither one said they trusted each other. Now, maybe that was implied, assumed, but they certainly didn't offer each other's names up that I recall as far as who they trust. So they did have the conversation. They both talk, though. At least they can find consensus in that neither one trusts Brittany. They both are saying, yeah, Brittany, you can't trust her at all. Don't tell her anything at all. Nicole is saying that Amira had said that, now, or maybe this is a bigger issue as well. They talk about they can't trust Brittany. Well, then Nicole follows that up and says, hey, just so you know, Amira said that you didn't trust me at all. And Indy's saying, I never said that. She's denying it completely. I'm pretty sure that Indy did say that at one point in time to Amira. But again, as a result, this conversation ends on kind of a bad note, and neither one really seems to be trusting each other at this point in time. All right. We've got Jasmine saying that Taylor had said her plan to put up Monty, or Jasmine is telling Taylor that the plan had been to put up Daniel and then backdoor Monty. And I came back. I'm not sure what my notes are saying. It was a long night. Anyway, but letting Taylor know that Daniel and Monty were going to go. Now, Jasmine's complaining about Nicole trying so hard to get information from her. Monty's telling Jasmine he won't put her up. That's why. Let me go back to that because I completely screwed up that one. Monty and Jasmine are talking. Jasmine is saying that Taylor had said that her plan was to put up Daniel and then actually backdoor Monty. So Taylor wanted out Monty. Does that make more sense? It does to me. So that's what she tells Monty. And then saying Nicole's trying so hard to get information from me. Monty's telling Jasmine, says, look, I'm not going to put you up. You're not going up this week. If not Jasmine and Nicole, then who? Well, we'll find out in a second. All right. Meanwhile, we've got Monty a little bit later in the storage room talking to Joseph. And he's now saying that, hey, Nicole and Jasmine may not be the best choice since we need to make sure that Taylor trusts us. And as soon as we form this alliance, if we immediately put Taylor in the block, Are we risking her trust of us? So maybe we need to look elsewhere. So maybe he's being sincere when he told Jasmine that she's not going out the door or not going up on the block. But he does agree that Nicole eventually needs to go, just maybe not this week. All right, we've got the HOH room reveal. It was late, around 2 o'clock or so, Big Brother time. He got a letter from Mom and all the goodies, and everyone came up, hung around for a while. Same old, same old. All right, we've got Indy crying and upset. I think has to do with that conversation with Nicole. She's talking to Alyssa, and Alyssa is saying, look, Indy, you need to go talk to Monty before nominations tomorrow. And Indy's saying, I don't want to. I just don't want to talk to him. Eventually, she says she will later. But then after that, Joseph comes in, talks to her. Indy's upset with Joseph that he voted out Amira and he didn't even tell her. Joseph's playing dumb, saying, well, I threw out names of people I thought maybe were doing stuff, but, I didn't know what was going on. Just didn't know. All of a sudden I hear all this stuff and, sorry, but I just didn't know. All right. Meanwhile, we've got Monty talking to Nicole. This was a long conversation. They talked forever. But Monty's telling Nicole that he thinks, or he heard that maybe Taylor overheard a discussion about the Popak alliance, and that's what started the ball rolling. Once she told some other people started becoming aware of it, everything else. So Monty, I think he's really trying to make it seem like Taylor is to blame, and therefore potentially this week's target, or just to reinforce to Nicole this idea that Monty wants Taylor gone so bad. So obviously we couldn't be working together, right? Because I want her gone, right? So he's mentioning that about Taylor. Monty's saying, why would I want to keep Taylor after she's coming after me? Surely you don't think we're working together, right? Nicole says that, talk about Taylor, uses a word I won't use here, but says, Taylor is laying around and whispering to everyone. There's still a lot of hatred here, still a lot of targeting on Taylor. I thought maybe we were past that a little bit. Just knowing that this is a target-rich environment, and there's a lot of people in Nicole to be upset with now, but she's still kind of focused on Taylor to some degree. So she mentions that. Monty at one point says, look, Michael and Brittany aren't going on the block this week, so I've got limited choices in terms of who I'm going to put up. Well, if Monty and Brittany aren't going up, he's telling Nicole. If Jasmine and Nicole aren't going up, he's telling Jasmine. That's only like three other duos left, so we're getting a little short on our choices at this point. All right, at one point, and this may have been a little later in the evening, but Turner fell asleep in the bumper pool room. It's kind of funny watching Kyle and Joseph and Alyssa covering him in trash and food and pool cues and everything else. I guess it was funny enough that the big brother didn't tell Turner he has to sleep in a have-not room. They let him just sleep there and get covered in debris and such. All right, we've got Indy talking to Alyssa, and she's upset. She's been crying throughout the evening, just not doing well at all. She's telling Alyssa that Big Brother is supposed to be fun. I gave up my summer to come into this house to have fun. This isn't fun. And she's just about saying, I don't care. Just send me home. I don't care. I've got friends at home. Just send me out. I'm tired of it. Indy's not very happy at all that now she's kind of on the short side in terms of power structure and all that. So Alyssa's trying to talk her off the ledge a little bit, and she does that through the rest of the evening. All right, we've got Jasmine, Indy, and Alyssa talking the have-not room, comparing notes. Jasmine's not sure if she trusts Nicole, and we're going to hear that a lot. Suddenly, Nicole and Daniel don't have a lot of trust from a lot of people. Jasmine's not sure if she can trust Nicole, says she heard Nicole say that she was just going to hang with the girls and tell them that she had their backs, whether she did or not. They all agree that Nicole is playing both sides. They're also not trusting Brittany at all. Alyssa is in there. Alyssa is the one person in here who is a member of the Popak Alliance. She's downplaying it, saying, yeah, Paloma put that together. It was just one of those things. Well, a little more serious than that, but she's playing it down for the other girls in there. Jasmine is complaining about Turner, saying, man, Turner, he's my bestie. He hadn't come to talk to me. He hadn't apologized to me for the votes. He hadn't done anything with me. Well, he doesn't really owe you anything, and you don't owe him anything. But she's upset with that they aren't talking tight or anything else. Alyssa's talking about Taylor, saying that Taylor approached her right after the eviction, said she really would like to talk to her later, at which point Jasmine gets on the Taylor hate train a little bit, saying that Taylor would have to pay Jasmine for Jasmine to even give her the time of the day and have a conversation in the real world. It's just sometimes so over the top. All right, Jasmine is saying that she's really hungry. but she doesn't want to fix slop. She doesn't know how to fix slop, and no one will cook it for her. As soon as we've got over in the HOH room, everyone's been hanging around after the room reveal. Eventually, when it's only the leftovers alliance that's left in the HOH room, they do their dancing and they're celebrating that everything, not only the eviction took place, but all this storytelling seems to be working well. People are buying it. So they're pretty excited. But then they get into some gameplay discussion. Taylor's saying that she's done being a pawn, that there are other people in this room right now who need to go up on that block before she goes up on the block again. Everyone needs to take some turns with it. She's tired of being that the perpetual pawn. She's saying that she wants Indy and Alyssa on the block next. But Kyle actually throws himself up there and says, look, if we need to get at Daniel, no one wants Daniel around too much longer either. So if I need to go up on the block in order to get at Daniel, I'll take my turn. I'll do what I need to do. But at the end of the discussion, Monty's talking. It's starting to sound like maybe Alyssa and Indy might be the main targets or the intended targets, at least as of last night. We'll see what happens with the nominations today, but very well could be Alyssa and Indy. Neither one of them are going to be happy at all about it. Be real curious to see how Indy responds to that particular news if it happens. All right, getting near the end here, Alyssa comes into the HOH room, so all the game talk with the leftover alliance stops, unfortunately. Eventually, we've got Michael and Brittany and Taylor in the bathroom downstairs comparing notes on everything that was said. Not anything real significant at that point, but just comparing notes. We've got Nicole and Terrence and Daniel in the golf room where it looks like they're all going to be sleeping. They're talking about doing a morning show together. Each of them will come together, have a topic, but the three of them are going to start doing a morning show, hopefully before the music starts every morning. I got some advice for these three. Stay in your lane, bro. It's already been done. But yeah, they want to have their own little morning show. And I think part of it, Nicole and Daniel want to do what they can to keep Terrence as part of them, to keep working together. So this is some of their motivation to try to have Terrence up every morning to do the morning show. And I'm sure talk some gameplay as well. And with that being said, most of the house guests in bed around 5 o'clock, 5:30. It's so late. But even as I went to tape this, Joseph and Turner are still up and talking. So another late evening for these house guests, but a lot of conversations taking place. Today's nominations, again, I think it could be Indy, Alyssa, but they could surprise us a little bit as well. Tomorrow morning, we'll find out who's on the block. Once that happens, we'll see. There's going to be a whole lot more conversations taking place. Guys, y'all have a fantastic Friday. Cheers, my friends. SKD 143. Bye.